All right. Hey there, guys. This is Amber Chin. I'm so excited to have you tonight on Power Hour of Encouragement with Amber Chin. Tonight, we have an awesome special guest that I'm really excited to introduce you to. But first of all, I just want to say thank you for taking time out of your evening to spend time with us and to want knowledge and to seek knowledge for the purpose of getting better in your personal life, in your business life, whatever that may be or whatever that may look like. You're trying to better yourself, which is a really awesome thing. And so you've taken a step in your life that other people aren't willing to take yet, or maybe they're not at the level that you're at. And so I want you to commend yourself for taking a step in the right direction tonight of seeking out knowledge that you can then take and apply to your life to make yourself better. And so it's really awesome. Thank you so much for spending the evening with me. I know that each of you are busy. You have kids, you have lives, you have businesses, you have all of those awesome things, but you've chosen to spend an hour with me and our guest speaker tonight. And so we're honored to have you be part of this evening. And so I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody out. That way you guys can be sure and hear us. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and get started tonight. Tonight, the topic of endurance, it came upon me at a sudden moment. I had other plans for the topic of the month. This month, it was going to be ripple effect. It was going to be talking about how we can go out in the world and how we can be the change in our communities. But all of a sudden, this word came upon me. It came upon me because I was actually taking a really long walk. And as I was walking and I was in the last steps of my walk, literally I was on like 9.8 miles. I was almost at home. I passed a girl on the walking track and she had a t-shirt on that said, KC Endurance. I don't know why the word endurance stuck out to me, but it stuck out to me. And I instantly thought about the word endurance. It instantly triggered a thought in my mind of how we can use this word in our everyday lives and how we can take it and apply it. And so it sparked an interest of thought. And I said, the more I thought about it, I came home, I Googled the word endurance because I wanted to see what the definition of endurance was. We're going to see that in just a few moments. You're going to see that on the screen. But the word endurance is this beautiful picture of what we go through in life, in our emotional life, in our physical lives, in our spiritual walks. It is what encompasses us. It's what makes us strong. It's what makes us keep going. And so as I thought more and more about this word, I said, I think people would rather hear about this than they would about the ripple effect. Now, the ripple effect is a great thing, and I'm still really excited to do that one in the future, but I think this was for the moment since it was such a intriguing thought that just come upon me, and I felt like someone on this call tonight needed to hear what endurance was all about. And so I'm so glad that you have joined us and have wanted to come and learn about the word endurance. And so I'm going to go ahead and start the screen share here. So we can go ahead and we can take a look at what the word endurance actually means. And so endurance and why it's important. And so I said earlier, I was on this really long walk, and it was not a comfortable walk. It was by any means stretching what my endurance level was. And I'm at this place in my physical endurance and my emotional endurance where I feel like I need to challenge myself just a little bit more. And so this walk was a challenge to really test my endurance levels and to kind of see where my point was. Like, where did my body say, you can't take another more step? You can't go any farther. And I think our brains do the same exact thing. We just tend to limit ourselves. We tend to stay in the bubble of comfort that we have around ourselves because this word endurance is really scary. And it's really something that we don't really feel comfortable obtaining or pushing past. You see, I was I was born and raised with an athlete's heart. I think that we should challenge our endurance levels, that we should try to push ourselves to a new place. And this can be in your business. It could be in your marriage. It could be in your relationships. It could be on your faith journey. It could be on any length of life that you choose to take and apply this word. You can use it in all aspects, because we should always be pushing for the endurance level within ourselves. And so why is the word endurance important? All right. So I want you, as we're going through this, I want you to think about, first of all, I'm Amber Chin, by the way. I forgot I even had this slide in here, but I'm Amber Chin, and I'm so excited that you're here tonight. And so I hope you enjoy what I'm talking about and what we're presenting for you tonight. And so when I came home that day, I was sitting out on the back porch. I had ice packs on both of my knees, and I'd reached my goal of 10 miles, and it was quite the pushing of endurance. But as I was sitting there and icing my knees, I Googled the word endurance, and I thought the definition was very telling of what this word means. This word is the fact or power of enduring an unpleasant, you see that 10 miles was very unpleasant for me, or difficult process or situation without giving way. I could have given up. I could have called someone to come and get me halfway through. I could have done those things, but I chose not to, because I wanted to test the capacity of myself. I wanted to test my physical capacity to be able to handle what I was handling, or withstand or wear or tear what I was going through. And so as this word sunk in, I thought, well, there can be great physical endurance. Yes. Walking 10 miles and running 10 miles is really difficult. It wears on our body. It wears us down, and it's hard. But, there's more than just endurance to a person. There's emotional endurance as well. The physical is really great, and we can be this really strong physical person, but on the inside we can be like just this big puddle of mess, just a mess. Like, we can have this facade of being really strong and being really powerful, like a bodybuilder. We can have all that, but the whole inside of us could be an absolute mess. Okay, so I want you to understand, I want you to comprehend, there's two different types of endurance for a human being, a person, a structure, a bubble. We're emotionally and physically on two different playing fields. You see, when we're hurt physically, we go to the doctor and we get help. But sometimes we're emotionally sick on the inside, and we don't seek help because it's not a cut. It's not something we have to put a bandage on and heal, when in fact it really is. And so as I was kind of seeking out the meaning of what endurance meant, I typed in emotional endurance definition, then I typed in physical endurance. I thought it was really kind of comical that they actually put the picture of the girl working out on the one that says emotional endurance versus the one that says physical endurance. I was like, what? Like, that don't make any sense to me, because emotional is on the inside. So emotional endurance is the ability to stay strong under challenging circumstances. So you may be going through something in your life right now that just is tying every string emotionally, that is just making you get so tight, like guitar strings, and you just feel like at any second they're going to pop because they're just too tight. And I can tell you from my own experiences of walking through certain circumstances that sometimes, man, it not only takes a toll on you emotionally, it takes a toll on you physically as well, because they go hand in hand, even though they're two separate topics. And so that's why I wanted to touch on more of the emotional side tonight, and then I wanted Ryan to touch on more of the physical side, and so we could have this beautiful picture of what an overall health, goal would be. Now, I'm not saying I'm emotionally or physically perfect or fit or any of those things, but what I'm saying is I can give you my experiences, and you may be able to take my experiences and use them somehow in your life, maybe to gain knowledge or understanding or wisdom to where you could get stronger on your walk of endurance. And so I'm really excited to go ahead and get moving on Ryan. Ryan is just an awesome guy, and I'm so honored and privileged to have him on the call tonight. Ryan is actually the one that got me started on my physical endurance journey. He pushed me to my limit several times, and he was the one that kind of like cheered me on. But on the other hand, he kind of didn't cheer me on. Like when I loved Gigi's Cupcakes and I posted one on Facebook, he kind of had to keep me in line. And so I'm so thankful for this guy. And Ryan, tell us a little bit about yourself, and tell us a little bit about what your endurance journey has looked like.
Yeah, so I'm Ryan. I started way back as a little guy. My dad was in collegiate sports and wrestled professionally, and so that kind of started my whole physical fitness aspect at a very early age, and played sports, basketball, football, baseball, ran track all through junior high and high school, and then into college. Intramural sports, and that sports has kind of continued on with me throughout. And then I joined the Army, and there again was another very physical and mental endurance as well too. Largely, almost for me, more mental endurance than it was physical endurance, but there's still a lot of physical training as well. And then now kind of my physical endurance is I train for races all the time. I've trained for 201K trail races. If you don't want to do the math, that's 63 miles of running.
I thought 10 was bad.
So that took a lot of physical endurance training for that, and a lot of really pushing yourself past where you thought you could go and kind of make another step. That's one step further than I had ever gone before. And knowing that just make it to the next tree, make it to the next stoplight, make it to the next car, all these different little things that we use as landmarks and stopping points in our lives dramatically affect, how far you're able to go.
Right. You're kind of breaking up on us, so I'm gonna. There we go. Maybe that's better.
There.
Yep.
All right. Okay. I felt I was cutting out too there. But yeah, and so now kind of what I do is I really help people such as Amber, with their physical endurance, and helping them understand like where everybody has their own starting point. So your starting point might not be a 5K, a 10K. Your starting point might be, I just need to walk one lap around the block today, and realizing that you are where you're at for a reason, and you also can get out of that for a reason as well too. You need to decide what's your why and why you want to be healthy, and how having that physical endurance affects your everyday life, such as stress. Like the more physical endurance you have, that's going to dramatically affect how you handle stressors, how you sleep. And then if you have less stress, you're sleeping better, you're able to make better business decisions, you're going to have better relationships, you're going to have just overall general better health, you're going to stay away from the doctors. So there's a lot of factors that come into with your physical endurance. And the biggest thing is realizing that to start where you are, and just to make that very first step, put something on the calendar to start tomorrow, whether it be 10 minutes, and then as that becomes part of your lifestyle, then you can build upon that. Okay, this week I did 10 minutes every day, so you mark that off as a success. Next week, let's try and bump it up to 15 minutes every day. Once that becomes a success for you, then you can keep bumping it up. And then as you progress, the better off that you're going to start feeling.
Now, if you had someone on the call that has never, So hold on just a second. No, cancel. I don't want to end the meeting. So if you have someone on the call that had never, they're kind of looking at us and they're going, well, I've never been an athlete. I played in the band. I never really got up. I never really did anything physical. How do I take that first step? How do I, like, it's scary to me to even go out and walk a lap around my house because I've never really did that. What would you challenge them to do within the next week? And I think he's broke up.
Would be.
There we go.
Am I there?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the biggest, I think, challenge would be twofold. So one would be to say, what is your why of wanting to start to become have more physical endurance? So that is going to be the big one, because simple, small little goals only will last for so long. You really have to figure out, like, what's your why? Like, I want to be more healthy for my kids, for my grandkids. That's what is going to make the largest difference, is knowing what your why is. And then, like I said, just making it a point to literally put it in your calendar as a work event for you. If you don't put it in as a personal event because you think that you won't probably do it, maybe put it in as a business meeting for yourself. And really just that's it. Start off with 5 minutes, even if it's in your house and you walk up and down the steps in your house for 5 minutes. That's day one. Day two, try to improve upon that by 1 minute. I mean, it's a you in life, and because by running those things down of what's important to you in life, you'll start to understand, like, why you want to work towards those things and different ways to help. And then two, honestly, meeting with a professional that can actually help you, set you in a correct path without injuring yourself, which is where a lot of people end up, is they try and do it on their own right away. They end up getting injured, and then once you're injured, you're severely discouraged as well, thinking like, oh, it just must be you. You just can't do it because these are your circumstances. When in fact, maybe had you done something slightly differently, you wouldn't have ended up in those circumstances.
Right. I found this as I was researching earlier today. The brain after sitting quietly. So you may think that it's healthy, and all great to sit in your office every day. You feel good. You're going to the doctor. You're taking care of yourself. You're eating well. But if you're not actually getting out and getting physical movement in your body, this is the difference between a brain sitting all day and a brain after 20 minutes of walking. So there is a huge, significant difference in your emotional well-being and your emotional endurance when you're taking care of yourself physically, right?
Yes, exactly. And studies have shown, even as young with children as well too, that since they've started taking out their recesses, test scores have also been decreasing as well too from those lack of recesses. So it just goes to show you that when kids had 2 to 3 recesses per day, they scored almost 20% higher on their tests than students that had 0 recesses.
Wow.
I mean, something you can just try on your own. Usually, if you go on a 20 to 30-minute walk, your mind clears. Anytime you're on your cell phone, instead of sitting on your cell phone, sitting down, walk around and do it. You'll notice that your responses come easier, your brain starts firing a lot better, and then you're also able to absorb more of what the other person is saying, which is ultimately the most important thing.
Right. And then also holding your cell phone up. I got my cell phone here. This is the way we see people every day. You should be holding your cell phone up here. This is how we're made as humans. We're supposed to hold our head up. And so it's not good for your spine or the way that you breathe and your body absorbs oxygen, to hold your cell phone down low. And so as you're typing, be sure and hold your phone up to eye level because it's so much better for you. So I wanted to touch on one time in your life, Ryan, where you have maybe it was your 60-mile crazy run. That's what I'm going to call that. maybe there was a time in your life where you just felt like I can't go another step. I can't physically go another step. And what was it inside of you that helped you get through that moment of thought? Like, what pushed you to keep taking that step, keep taking that step, keep going? What pushed you to that point?
I would say the biggest one of them was probably actually during my training in the Army, my first 9 weeks of training. We're doing a 10-mile road march. We have about 80 pounds on our backs, and I'm carrying a 20-pound M60 machine gun. So we're at like mile 7 or 8, and I literally I would take a step and I'd fall down. My legs hurt so bad because I was the only one in the unit that had to carry that heavy machine gun. And then I realized like what I was doing it for, and how many people have gone before me in life, and sacrificed to allow me to even be in the position I was in. Um, and so I think sometimes you have to look outside of yourself and think of like a bigger,
You're breaking up on us, Ron.
whether it be family, maybe a family member has had the illness or something, or am I back?
Yeah, there we go.
Am I there?
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, I was saying maybe it might be you have a family member or friend that's had, a disease or cancer or something like that that sparks that fuel inside you. There are so many other people that have gone through so much more than what you're going through right now, and just realizing like, hey, what I'm going through right now is nothing compared to maybe what such and such has gone through in their journey or their life, and realizing like, you know what, it's not only I should do this, it's my duty and my responsibility to myself, to push forward and to continue on.
Yeah, I mean, I think about there's been several videos shared on Facebook and stuff of people with disabilities that are in wheelchairs, that have no legs, that have no arms, and they're like in the gym, like doing pull-ups and stuff. Like, I'm like, how do these people even have the thought of getting outside of themselves and showing up at the gym? It's crazy. It's ludicrous. But there's something within inside them, just like you said earlier, that keeps them going, that keeps them driving, that keeps them looking for the overall bigger picture, which I think is just this beautiful picture of what we could be, like what I could be. And when I started my weight loss journey with Ryan, I was looking at where I could be. My mom had passed away at 54 of a heart attack, and I didn't want to be there. Like, I wanted to spend my life enjoying the people around me. I wanted to spend my life giving to other people and pouring life into them. And so I saw where I could be, and I envisioned where I could be. And I didn't say, I'm just going to do a diet. I said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it right. I'm going to do a lifestyle change. I'm going to make a change in my life. And I'm going to adapt to those changes in a slow, progressive manner. Brian has helped me so much on the journey. If I've ever had any questions, or I've just needed some encouragement, or I've just needed to know that right exercise that didn't make my knees hurt, he would help me. And so it was this beautiful picture of him helping me. And so I deeply, deeply encourage you, if you are starting out your journey, whether you're here in the Kansas City area or not, Ron actually has a monthly program that's absolutely awesome. And so he can help you online. He can help you through the internet of technology. And so if that is something that you want to do, his information will be on the last slide of this slideshow, and you'll be able to connect with him if you have any questions. And so I'm going to go ahead and start the slideshow back here. Ron, do you have any more thoughts or encouragements that you?
Yeah, I have a quick story today that actually happened today, in fact. I had a lady that had to get a really, really bad hernia surgery that she came in with me when we started training. She's had a very, very rough childhood. Abused sexually abused. Let me know when I'm back.
Got you.
Am I,
It sounds like we're.
all right, gosh, this stupid internet.
I'm a bit delayed in telling you that we can't hear you. So
Okay. But yeah, so anyway, she had a very bad childhood and kind of just an overall bad life. And she came to me, like probably about 2 months ago, and we started working out. She started getting better, and then she had that. For her, it's always kind of been one thing after another type of person, And then she had to have this hernia surgery. Well, she worked at the office for
right
13 years. Nobody came and helped her or anything.
There we go.
So nobody came and helped her from her work. I was the only one that helped her with her mental endurance. And one day she's like, Ryan, I need some words of encouragement. And so I told her how strong she was and how far she'd come, And then today I was training and she shows up at the gym and I was like, hey, what are you doing? And she had actually walked 1.5 miles. Her doctor just cleared her for exercise, and she had walked 1.5 miles. She said it hurt really bad, but she wanted to do it just to simply come and thank me for being able to push her and telling her how strong she is, that I was her only words of encouragement through that entire 4-week process. So to me, that's why I do what I do, to be honest with you, is stories like that.
That's why I love you, because you just are this beautiful picture of encouragement when it comes to physical strength and physical endurance. And you just encourage and motivate so many people, and I don't even think like you realize it, because your spirit is in what you do. And so it's just, you're just awesome. So thank you.
Thank
awesome.
you.
It was like the perfect story to share today. So everything happens in perfect timing. And so
yeah.
For sharing. Any more thoughts? I mean, I've put this diagram down here on the bottom. It's the physical health, emotional well-being, and the spiritual renewal. They all play a part of like who we are on the inside. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it really does. Like, you can't be emotionally healthy if you're not physically healthy. If you're having to always going to the doctor, you're always having health issues, you're always sick. You can't feel good about yourself if you don't, if you're not trying to help other people and, realizing that who you are as a person and trying to be genuine to people in the spiritual sense. And then, you can't be physically healthy if you're not emotionally healthy as well too, because then that's causing lots of issues with stress and relationships. And if you're having relationship and stress and sleep issues, you're not going to have the physical health or endurance as well too. So they all play with one another, and some are better at one than another. And you just have to find out kind of what your biggest area of weakness is, and try and use your strongest area to try and that area of weakness to start making it become stronger as well too. So you become.
There you go. They're hearing you. Go ahead.
Am I back?
So there we go. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know how much got hurt. I was just saying, with your physical health, you have to be emotionally healthy, because if you're stressing out and you have sleep issues and you're having relationship issues and work issues, it's going to cause all kinds of stress-related health problems, and vice versa. If you're very physically healthy, but you don't have any emotional well-being, that's going to cause your spiritual side to not be very good, and then your physical side will eventually start to decline as well too. So they all rise and fall kind of in a roller coaster, and you want to keep that roller coaster at its peak, and to do so you got to have all three working simultaneously.
I think about it sometimes, Ryan, it's like a roller coaster. So it goes up and down, and this pie chart is a good thing to look at and strive for, but it's never going to be perfectly weighted in any area or another, because life happens and circumstances change. And things happen in our world that just toss us upside down, and we have stress hormones that are released that we can't do anything about. But if we are staying on top of the physical endurance side and we're staying on top of the spiritual endurance side, then the emotional side can sometimes take a beating. And then vice versa. If we're being emotionally well and spiritual, but we're not got the physical, then the physical can take a beating, but it can only take a beating for so long. There comes a point when our body says, I don't like this and I need a change. And so I want to inspire you
Right.
today. Sometimes there's a change. Sometimes we need a change in one area or another. Don't you think, Ron?
That's exactly right. I mean, if you, it's kind of called the fight or flight syndrome. You know, if you're in that fight syndrome so long, you know, your body eventually goes to that flight syndrome, and your body starts shutting down different areas of your body, and that's how a lot of people get, you know, different diseases because of that. Different cardiovascular disease, they get strokes, you know. Depression, and depression and anxiety are two very big ones that happen when people start shutting down, and their body's processes start shutting down, and they get large hormonal imbalances as well.
I love that. I love that. And that is so true. I struggle with depression and anxiety myself. And so these are things that I have learned to cope as a coping mechanism to deal with those problems in my life. These are some different things that I felt very compelled to share with you. These are some physical signs of emotional stress in our body. And so there's different ways that we can tell what is going on within our bodies and why we're feeling the way we're feeling, because Ryan, I'm sure, would agree with me, is when our bodies are stressed, whether it be emotional or physical, our bodies release stress hormones. Okay, those stress hormones actually cause us not to sleep, but they also can cause physical ailments in our body that just will cripple us in certain areas. One of my number one areas that I hold all of my stress is my neck. Okay, so I constantly have to have my neck adjusted and my shoulders adjusted, and the neck is not wanting to see alternatives, inflexibility and stubbornness. Yep, I'm all of those things. And so these are just a couple of different things that it may be something that is holding you back. One of these elements may be holding you back from being physically active. But in fact, the physical activeness may trigger the emotional healing that you need in some cases. And so I just thought this was very interesting as I was reading through. I also thought it was funny that I have knee problems, and it says knee, pride and ego, fear, not giving in, stubbornness, inability to bend rules. Yep, those are all me to an extent. I definitely have a humble spirit inside of me as well, but those are all things that I do struggle with. And so as I'm looking at this chart, if you're looking at this chart, maybe there's something that needs adjusting in your emotional life if these are like ailments that you're physically seeing in your body. And so triggering your emotions and actually pinpointing what is going on, positive emotions and the negative emotions. You know, what are you feeling more of? What is overtaking your daily thoughts? What is, taking over your thought patterns? Because your thought patterns is what leads to your physical, emotional health. And so sometimes in life, we have to reset our thought patterns. We have to tell ourselves that we're good enough. We have to tell ourselves that we are physically enduring something or emotionally enduring something that we will come out of. We just have to push through to that last step in the driveway after a really long run, that last step of that really, really long 60-mile crazy thing that Ryan talked about earlier. And we try to say, there's things Like here it's pointing to the brain, 5 differences between physical and emotional wounds. And it says the feelings of physical and emotional pain come from the same parts of the brain. But why do we react differently when we see a person in physical versus emotional distress? That's a really good question. If I'm out running on the trail and I see someone physically bent over, hurting or holding their chest, I'm immediately going to stop. I'm going to immediately call 911. I'm going to immediately assume that they need help. But I could pass that same person on my jog and never know there was anything wrong, because on the outside they look great, but really on the inside they are a mess. And so I want to make it very clear that these type of people, they need to reach out for help. They need to reach out and gain emotional stability, and through emotional stability and help and someone pulling you back up out of a pit, you gain emotional endurance. And so I want you to find hope in that. So the last thing on there, it says, open your mind and think about some of the differences between physical wounds and emotional wounds. We have, each of us as human, you may be stubborn and say you don't have any emotional wounds. You've got emotional wounds. Just like you've had cuts when you're a kid, just like you've had bruises when you're a kid, just like you've had all of those things in your physical body, you have had emotional wounds. Every single person that walks the earth has. So it just depended on if you're taking time to stop and heal those wounds along your journey. So I felt like this was a good place for us to end. How do I work on endurance? So I asked Ryan the question earlier, how would you even start? How would you even, if you have never exercised, or you have never went to a counselor, or you have never worked on the inside of you, if you've never worked on the outside of you, if you've never worked on yourself at all in a spiritual realm, or a mental capacity, or emotional capacity, or physical capacity, where do you start? The answer is very clear in the first step. There's one step. It's the step of putting on your tennis shoes and walking up and taking that first step out of your front door and walking down the street and back. It is that step of picking up the phone and dialing a counselor's phone number to start working on the inside of you. It is taking that first step of actually finding out about a grief recovery program and actually attending the first one. There's all kinds of ways that we can start. The choice, it has to be up to us. When I started my physical journey, I started because I wanted a change. I wanted a change in myself. I saw something different, and I took that first step because I saw the end game. And so, are you showing up to practice? Are you showing up and devoting your time to these areas of your life? Michael Jordan said, you don't show up on game day and expect to be great. Greatness happens in practice. You have to expect things of yourself before you can do them. You have to show up for practice. When I was in middle school, our fifth grade year, we made our minds up at the beginning of that cheerleading season that we were going to be the county champs. We hadn't won the county championship for cheerleading in years and years and years, but we made our mind up at the beginning of that season, gosh darn it, that we we were going to win that championship no matter what it took. So because the gym was a very small gym, and because we had to share it with the basketball team, we had very, very little access to the gym. So we had an option. We could show up before school for practice, or we could not practice at all. But you see, our team had made our mind up at the beginning of the season that we were going to win the championship that year. And we showed up. We showed up every morning at 5:30 a.m. and we practiced the heck out of that gym that early in the morning before school. Because we knew that to win, we had to practice. It wasn't that we had to have all of our stuff together perfect for every single practice. It was that we showed up at practice and that we practiced the same dance, the same cheer, the same gymnastics cheer over and over and over and over again. We showed up to practice. Are you showing up to practice in your physical life? Are you taking the steps that you need to take inside of you to physically take care of your body? Are you emotionally taking care of yourself? Are you reading every day? I have to pray every day because that feeds my spiritual and emotional side. I have to do those things to be emotionally and spiritually well. Are you investing time in yourself? Are you reading self-help books? Are you reading business books that could help your business? Are you reading things that speak life into you? Or are you sitting behind the television watching the news every night? Because that, I can tell you right now, that isn't going to help you. That's only going to cause you worry and pain. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It may challenge you on occasion, but for the most part, you're not going to gain any of these three categories by sitting behind a television. Same thing goes for Facebook. You're not going to gain any of these by sitting behind Facebook for hours upon a time. You say you have to show up for practice. That means you check out of other things going on in your life. I didn't have a great childhood. I didn't have a great family life. I very rarely had people show up to cheer me on at ball games. But there was something about practice and something about games that when I set foot in that gymnasium, in my uniform, I forgot about all the pain outside of that place. I gave 100% of who I was and what I was doing, and I poured everything that I had into those moments. I showed up for practice. Are you showing up for practice? Are you walking around the block? Are you reading? Are you pouring into yourself? Are you surrounding yourself with people that are going to make you better and challenge your thinking? Because that's what you should be doing. That is this beautiful picture of endurance. And as I was ending my journey of testing my endurance on Saturday, I learned not only physical endurance in that moment, I learned that I've really went through a lot. And I've learned that I can give myself grace in the emotional area. You see, sometimes we beat ourselves up. We tell ourselves that we're not good enough or that the things of the past can hold us back. When in reality, we should be taking those really, really bad things, those really, really tough things, those my knees are really, 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 really hurting things, And we can turn them into something beautiful. We can turn them into this word of endurance and strength. So are you quitting? Or are you showing up for practice? Don't quit. Keep going. Take that next step. Feed yourself with rituals. You see, I love this little diagram of the arrows of rituals, because if we have physical capacity, it leads to emotional capacity, which leads to mental capacity, and then we have spiritual capacity on top, and it makes this perfect pyramid of what the perfect person looks like. And here's the thing. No one's perfect. And life is just a roller coaster of learning endurance. Physical endurance, emotional endurance, spiritual endurance. We're learning it every single day. So, I don't want to keep you any longer, but I just want to say thank you for showing up to practice today, because you did. You took a step to encourage yourself. You took a step to pour life into yourself. You took a step to maybe learn about physical endurance and what that would mean. Do you know that you showed up to practice today? And that's a step in the right direction. And so I'm going to leave this screen up just for a few minutes. If you have any questions for Ryan or you want to reach out to Ryan, I highly encourage that you do. I found a great friend in him. I found a great source of strength in him. And I count him among one of my closest, dearest, just uplifting, encouraging guys. And so I appreciate his service for our country. But I also sometimes just sit and I wonder how many lives he's going to touch in the future and how much endurance he's actually went through that he's took and he's turned it into really great things. And that is why. And that's what develops character in us, y'all. It develops and it makes us who we are. Testing our endurance makes us who we are. So I'm going to leave you on this. Are you pushing yourself to the point of endurance? Emotionally, physically, spiritually. Are you pushing yourself to the point of endurance? All right. I'm really excited. I want to end on this note. I want to tell you guys, I want to take a break. It may not seem like much work because it's all pretty and then this PowerPoint presentation, but this takes a lot of work for me. It takes a lot of emotional work for me because I think about every single thing that I put in front of you. And so I want you to tell me how this has impacted you. I want you to post on the Facebook page how Power Hour has changed your life, or how it has encouraged you, or how it has made you better, or how it's helped you grow. Because I'm trying to step back, and that's why I don't have one planned for next month. I want to make sure that what I'm doing is impactful and not a waste of time. I don't think it's a waste of time if I'm helping one person. But I just need to reanalyze, and I need to figure out if this is the best way that I could be serving people. And so if you could take just a moment and let me know your thoughts, if you have suggestions for what you think would make Power Hour better, or if you have a topic that you would just love to hear, will you please just post that on a Facebook page? Because I want to make sure that I'm impacting you. And it can become kind of draining when you don't have people pouring life into you and hearing that it's changed them or made them or shaped them. And so if you could do that for me, that would just mean the world to me. I'm going to go ahead and Ron has very limited, saying that his signal is very weak on his internet, but I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to let him, if there's any questions, I'm going to unmute everyone. If you have any questions you want to ask Ron, you can go ahead and ask him. And Ron, just go ahead and end with your final comments and anything else that you have to say.
Yeah, one of the things I typed in the chat box is that has really, really helped me out a lot is watching a daily inspirational video, like first thing when I get up in the morning before I do anything. And it's always a different one. Sometimes I find the same one that I, watch maybe once or twice a week, but doing that just in itself, not only just for physical health, but, either for business, business encouragement, emotional encouragement, physical encouragement.
He's cutting out, so I'm gonna there we go.
Watching one of those first thing in the morning before you do it.
Stop it.
Okay. So just doing that, finding a motivational video first thing in the morning before you do anything and watching it, you want to keep it around, no more than 5 minutes. Something short and sweet, but something that gets you will change your entire day, how you respond to people, how you think of your day, how you respond to stresses, how you see and how you use your positivity as well too, and then yourself throughout the day as well too. Your head will be up, your shoulders will be back, you'll be walking with a more positive step, and when you do that, people notice it.
Absolutely. And I always tell people that ask me why I speak with such passion and such energy. I always have about 3 to 4 speakers that I absolutely love. And when I'm driving somewhere to speak, or I'm getting ready to speak on a webinar, I actually had her going just as I was getting ready to log on for tonight. I always listen to her because, you see, when someone's passionate and when a video is passionate, you can pick up their passion. You can pick up their energy, and then as you pick up their energy and you go throughout your day, you give that same energy to the people you come in contact with. And so every time I go to speak somewhere, I always listen to someone on my way that is just going to get my energy level up, that is going to help me stay high in energy. And so I think that's so important. I watch motivational videos every single day as well. And it keeps me positive, as well as affirmations. I wake up and I tell myself every day, I am strong. I can complete this task, or I can do this, or I am awesome. And, just telling yourself those things every day and feeding your soul is so important. And so does anybody have any more questions before we end the call tonight? Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Ryan, so much. It was a pleasure having you. And so I hope everyone enjoyed the call tonight. And I hope that you will just follow us and come to calls in the future once we reevaluate after the summer and figure out if this is the path that we're going to continue on. And so I hope you guys have a wonderful, blessed night. After this link is published and we actually put it on the page, and someone that's struggling with this topic or that this video would encourage, I encourage you to please share it with them. It just spreads the impact. And so thank you all so much. Have a wonderful, blessed night, and take care.